Welcome back, Fantasy Endgame family, Fantasy Endgame baseball players, and happy Easter out there to everybody. Thanks for joining us on this Easter Sunday. Another week of fantasy baseball in the books. You know what that means. It's time to get you ready for the next week and for those two-start streamers. Pierre, how you feeling as we head into, I guess, week 4?
I'd be feeling better if our score was going in my favor in our league. But overall, feeling pretty good about the season. I will say it's early. It's very early. But a lot of the players in general that I feel good about as sleepers are waking up, and I feel like there've been too many misses, I guess, just yet as far as calls going. Now, as far as all my teams, it's still too early to judge. But yeah, I think the baseball season is going to wind up being an interesting one, so that's good.
It usually is. It usually is. All right, let's jump right into these two-start streamers. These are the guys that making two starts this week that either number one, not widely rostered, so we're not going to talk about the studs like the Spencer Schwellenbachs, guys like that. We're talking about, the guys that are potentially out there on your waiver wire, making two starts that are either A, good pitchers, B, have two good matchups, or C, both. And let's start with one that I think might fall under both. That is Max Meyer, still somehow less than 50% rostered on Yahoo. I don't know why. This guy has gone 6 or more innings in 3 straight games. He hasn't yet to give up more than 3 earned runs in any game, and he's got 3 games of 7 or more strikeouts. And this week he gets the Reds, who, sure, they scored 20-something runs today, but their offense has been a little whatever. And the Mariners, okay, they've looked slightly better, but that doesn't scare me. So why is this guy even still a streamer? Why is this guy not just rostered everywhere?
I don't know. I'm getting tired of having to talk about Max Meyer, not because I don't like talking about Max Meyer. I'm just tired of the fact that I have to talk about and try to convince people hey, pretty good, not bad. Why? What else do you want to see? This was one of the top prospects in the game not long ago. I get it. It's probably because he's with the Marlins, right? It's probably what it is. But still, even bad teams can have good players. Oh, come on, they're not that bad this year. I had to talk about him on the waiver wire again. Talking about on streamers as a 2-start streamer. It's okay, look, at this point, if you're not in on him now, don't be in on him later when he's even better. I don't know what that means. Just pick him up, okay?
Yes. I mean, it's honestly, I guess it's not too late because he's still out there in over half the leagues. But if you don't realize how good he is yet, you're not paying attention at all. And let's talk about another one of your favorites, Jose Soriano of the Mighty Angels, who look like maybe they're going to shock the world, and then they crash back down to earth. But look, Soriano's been great this year. He's sitting at what does he got here? A 4.34 ERA, and that's really just because of I wouldn't even say 2 bad starts, just 2 not great starts. Actually, that was just in April. He's sitting better than that. My correction here. That's just in April. He's got a 3.42 ERA. He's got 3.16. Sorry, looking at the wrong year. 20 strikeouts, 25 innings, 1.25 whip. Start of 4 games, and he's looked very good this year. And he does get a very good schedule. The Pirates, one of the best offenses to stream against, and the Twins as well. I know you love Soriano, another guy less than 50% roster. What's going on here?
Yeah, I understand this one is not quite as exciting. I personally don't have anything much new to add as far as Soriano because I've talked about him a lot. So I'm still in, but also even if you just need a streamer, 2 starts this week, Pirates and the Twins, yeah, that's a great schedule. He's got to be one of the top streamers, not just one of my top streamers this week, but finally one of the top. And his last start you're like, wasn't that great? Really, it was just one bad inning that he had, gotten in a little bit of trouble, settled down. And, your favorite, the 5 2/3, where he was one out away from a quality start. If he had gotten that one more out, then would have looked better, in the box score. But he has been solid. Soriano is only behind Max Meyer because Max Meyer has to be first.
By the way, 5 2/3 is a plague in baseball right now. It seems to be like both of my pitchers today were lights out and went 5 2/3. Our managers intentionally pulling these guys after the second out of the fifth inning. Like this is ridiculous. I'm already like this is only my second year in fantasy baseball. I'm like, okay, we got to get a fifth stat in here, not quality starts, not wins. We got to figure out a different stat. This is ridiculous. But let's move on to a guy who just made his season debut this week. That's Clark Schmidt of the Yankees. So, Yankees pitcher, probably a good chance for some wins. Now, it wasn't the best first start here. He did go 5 2/3, of course, because you're not allowed to go that sixth inning these days, apparently, if you're a Major League Baseball pitcher. He went 5 2/3, gave up 3 earned runs, only struck out 2 batters. But he gets the Guardians and Blue Jays. Those offenses don't scare me. And you got to think after, that being his first start of the year, there's a good chance he gets to at least 6 innings for one of those starts. So, Clark Schmidt, how you feeling about him now that we've seen one game from him?
Yeah, you got to expect he's not going to be going too deep because of the time missed. But 73 pitches is fine for his season debut. If he can get closer to 80 pretty soon, even one of his starts this week. And he also was, like you said, 1 out away from a quality start in his very first start. So I think you've got to feel good about his workload pretty much. The schedule is not bad at all. Guardians are starting to kind of get it together offensively, but still in Cleveland, not a terrible spot. Blue Jays, same thing, not a frightening offense. So Clark Schmidt really is another guy I talked about in the waiver wire video. You should just add him if he's out there. But if your league is more shallow, maybe you don't need pitching, to that extent, you just want to stream, this is the best opportunity to pick him up.
All right, there you go. Yeah, and even if you don't want to stream him for the 2 starts, probably worth the ad regardless. Now, a guy, I'll be honest. So when I was looking at the 2-start streamers this week, figuring out, because I've already added 2 of them for next week, this was one of my considerations. Walker Buehler, because he gets the White Sox, which anytime I see a pitcher versus the White Sox, I get excited. And he gets the Guardians, so not bad matchups. Now, I actually drafted Walker Buehler in our league, and I've cut ties with Walker Buehler after his first 2 starts. He's gotten better since those first 2 starts, but still not great. Sitting at a 5.23 ERA, and he's only had 1 game of more than 4 strikeouts. That's kind of what is giving me some hesitation. But, man, it is tough to ignore the matchups this week with the White Sox and Guardians. So I know a lot of people had high hopes for Buehler this season, including myself. Do we see it this week?
I mean, me, I did not have high hopes for Buehler this season. I didn't draft him anywhere, and I really have just kind of ignored him until now, and he's getting better. I don't think there'll be really much of a chance this season that we see him as more than a streamer. I think, the old Walker Buehler from years ago is no longer there, right? Age and injuries will do that. He can still be serviceable in the right situations, and this happens to be the right situation. 2 starts and good matchups. We talked about in Cleveland and then the White Sox, obviously. So I think he could get you a quality start, maybe 2. I don't feel like he's a guy who has tremendous upside anymore, especially with the strikeout rate. And that's the one thing, is you definitely know you're not getting the old Walker Buehler back. The strikeout rate is low, and I don't think that's bouncing back. But could notch you a win, possibly 2 quality starts, as I mentioned. So I feel like this is a good week for him. Because again, relative to the rest of the field, then you get a little bit sketchier. We still have a couple of good names that I like, but after these, and there's a chance some of these players aren't available. Buehler still stands above them.
Yeah, definitely was on the fence there. I will say the one of the guys I did pick up over him. Again, looking ahead to next week, because I had a couple waiver claims left and I didn't need the pitching help this week. Was Quinn Priester of the Brewers, and I will say, like, Quinn Priester and Walker Buehler. I mean, Quinn Priester feels a little bit more of like a safer play than Walker Buehler. He's sitting at what, a 0.9 or he's yet to give up more than 1 earned run in a game. Right, he's got 2 starts, 1 earned run, 0 earned runs. He's only gone 5 innings. That's the downside here in each of the starts. And he's only striking out 4 in each of his 2 starts. So not a guy that's going to get you a ton of strikeouts, but I liked him a little bit better simply because I like his long-term potential more, but also he gets to pitch in San Francisco against the Giants and then in St. Louis against the Cardinals, 2 of the best pitching ballparks in baseball. So I took him over Buehler this week. Did I make a mistake?
No, I mean, I got him neck and neck. I'll tell you this. Even though we did talk about Buehler first, which implies I have him as it's sort of a priority over Priester. In all the leagues I'm in, I have 0 Walker Buehler still. I have, I think, 3 Quinn Priester shares. I picked him up, and I'm one of the only people who's done that. He's apparently only 3% rostered in Yahoo. Yeah. So not a whole lot of other believers out there.
You and me are the only people with Quinn Priester on our rosters.
Apparently. I think Priester is very intriguing. I know we don't want to get sucked into the whole former, prospect and pedigree and all that. That means nothing now once you're in the majors. But he flopped in Pittsburgh. He got a little bit better in Boston in a very short time, but Milwaukee took him on because of course they're desperate just for healthy arms, but also they see some potential. I see some potential here. If he can get it together, he's going to be solid. He's got a great situation there. So I think Priester is intriguing for me this year. I don't feel like he's going to go full-fledged breakout or anything, but I would rather take a chance on a guy who at least we know that the arrow could point up. It's not happening for Buehler, right? Like we already know, when we look at the trajectory, we've already seen his peak. Well, obviously he's not getting close to that, but can he even get close to what he used to be at any point before, Tommy John? I don't know. I don't think so. I'd rather take a chance on a guy who can continue to improve and take steps forward as opposed to a guy whose best we know is behind him. So this week, I do feel like Buehler's got a little bit better situation in terms of the schedule, and Priester. My only thing with Priester is he's only gone 5 innings each of the 2 times. Maybe they don't press their luck, and maybe that means you're hard pressed to get a quality start, of course, but also harder to get a win. And Milwaukee's not doing a ton of winning either these days. So that's the only reason I had him just behind Buehler. But overall, like you said, long term, I still have interest in Priester more so than Buehler.
All right. Well, that makes you feel good. Now, speaking of quality starts, Mitchell Parker has done nothing but get you a quality start every time he's taken the hill this year. 4 starts, 4 quality starts, sitting at a 1.85 ERA. This is a guy I streamed many times last year with good success. Now, the downside, a couple downsides here for Mitchell Parker this week. Number one, only 16 strikeouts in 24 innings, so you're probably not going to get a ton of strikeouts. And then maybe the bigger downside, Orioles and Mets, not the most, fun offenses to see your pitcher going against. But, man, he's been so good. I think if you've got him, you got to take a chance here, right?
Not necessarily.
No? Okay.
Okay, he's on the list. He's been great, but here's the problem. And this is, again, I try to get people to think this way because it's unnatural. He's been so good. He is bound to be bad. It's called regression, right? Mark it down. You remember last week, you remember the guy that we talked about for approximately 5 minutes and we may never talk about again, Easton Lucas? Remember Easton Lucas? So good his first 2 starts. How can you not pick him up? That's why. Because that's what happens. He was pitching above his head. He was outperforming his talent ability. No knock on him. He's a solid pitcher. He did great. It wasn't going to last, right? And I don't just mean like throwing shutouts. Like he was going to get rocked. Regression was going to happen. Mitchell Parker will experience regression. And I seriously wonder if it's this week because he gets the Orioles and he gets the Mets. So I would be very nervous throwing him out there. If you look at the season stats, you feel great. But I don't care what he did in the past. I care what he's going to do in the future. You see what I mean? So I'm very, very nervous about Mitchell Parker. I'm not like a disbeliever or a hater. I am a realist, as we all should be. Regression happens to everybody. So he's not the worst option out there, of course, but I would just, a word of caution. Don't get sucked into the stats.
All right, we'll see how he does. Definitely a tough schedule. Now, another guy I considered this week to pick up already before the week even started was Osvaldo Bido. He's looked pretty good this year, but I'll tell you what turned me off him. Well, number one, Rangers White Sox not a terrible matchup. I feel like maybe the Rangers are starting to hit better. Obviously, White Sox a great matchup. You always love that. What really turned me off was the last start against the White Sox, no strikeouts. Okay, he only gave it one run. That's great. And he has yet to go 6 innings. So is this just more of a floor play here?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it's funny, there was something with his win. He actually won last week. You mentioned he didn't strike out a single batter, but he got the win because he also did give up runs. He was the first pitcher in how many years, I don't remember the stat, to actually win a game without a single strikeout. So it's not like a great stat, but at the same time, I'm not worried about that because before that game, his previous couple starts, he was basically getting a K per inning. So, is not a guy who, I still feel better about his upside getting strikeouts than Walker Buehler. The schedule is actually great because the White Sox need no explanation. The Rangers feel like they're getting better, but still overall in the season versus right-handed pitchers, they're 26th in the majors in batting average and WOBA. So this is a great spot for him both times. We know that he's now feeling like a pretty high floor option. The ceiling is not crazy high because of the strikeouts, but still, I almost want to put him ahead of Mitchell Parker. I maybe should put him ahead of Mitchell Parker, but honestly, I think I kind of feel better about him than Mitchell Parker. So maybe we should just do that switch right now. But obviously, this comes down to who's available in your league, who you feel better about. You never know how this goes.
All right, there you go. Can I throw out my favorite 2-star streamer who's not on the list? Because I do like Quinn Priesters a lot.
All right, well, let's hear it. I mean, you probably already picked him up before I could, so it doesn't matter.
I did. I picked him up this morning. Jose Quintana, now of the Brewers. I might be too all in on Brewers pitching this week. I don't know. I got Priesters and Quintana, but he also gets that very nice Giants-Cardinals matchups. This is a guy I loved streaming last year. He was great. And so far this year, first start against the Diamondbacks, a great offense, threw 7 innings of shutout baseball. Yeah, only struck out 2. And then 5 2/3 against the Tigers, only gave up 1 run. Yeah, the strikeouts aren't there, but I like the chance for quality starts. I like the fact that he is not going to wreck my ratios. How are you feeling about him?
Yeah, exactly. He really belongs up there, kind of near Priester. The only knock, like you said, is strikeout rate won't be great. That's fine. We're talking streamers, available in 2/3 of leagues. You're not going to get any elite strikeout artists, period. So yeah, I think Quintana, he's definitely a floor play. Like you said, this is a veteran. He's been around the block, so many teams he's played for, and he shouldn't get knocked around. And I do like the schedule. So yeah, that's definitely a good one.
All right, we'll see how it goes. There we go. There's our 2-start streamers for the week. As always, if you have questions about those guys or any other pitchers, we will answer those as well as all the other questions. I already see a ton lined up. Let me just quickly remind you, if for some reason this is your first time and you don't know what, you see that little bar scrolling down there about promo code ENDGAME to get your new customer free pick, you got to check out UnderdogFantasy.com. They have MLB Pick'ems every single day of the season, not to mention all the other sports. We got NBA playoffs going on right now, NHL playoffs, golf, whatever you like, they have it going. So if you haven't tried it out yet and you want to get those picks in, you want a different way to get your fantasy baseball fix in, go to UnderdogFantasy.com, join and use promo code ENDGAME because that will get you a free pick, so an instant win right off the bat, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Also, let me remind you, we're going to answer as many questions as we possibly can tonight. But if, like Knucklehead Paul B, what is up, Paul? You don't want to wait in line. You want your question answered now because it's Happy Easter and you don't want to wait. You're in a food coma and you need a nap. You can drop that super chat and we'll get to your question right away. Now, Paul does not have a question. He just wanted to say Happy Easter. Thanks for all your hard work. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being on here on this Easter Sunday. Hope everybody's having a great Easter. And thank you, Paul, as always. All right. Let's get to the questions. And I guess it's not a question, but Is it happening? F. Happy Nueve Marte Day. 5 for 7. A home run. 3 runs. 7 RBIs. Is this it? Is this it? Is this it? Should everybody run out and add him now?
Well, let me ask you this. I don't want to be the one to like rain on parade. I really am not that pessimistic. But okay, let me ask this: should everybody run out to pick up Austin Wins? Probably.
I don't even know
Most of you are like, no, who is that? Or if you know who it is, you're like, no. The reason I'm asking is because Noelvi Marte was great, and right after him, Austin Wins was just as good. In fact, Marte was 5 for 7. Wins was 6 for 7. Marte had 7 RBIs. Wins had 6 RBIs. Yeah, it was just one of those days for the Reds. Don't know, just unleashing, taking out all their aggression on the Orioles. You know who should be picked up is the guy I said should have been picked up several days ago is Austin Hayes. This guy is raking ever since he got off the IL. I draft him in a couple leagues. I'm picking up as many places as possible. I don't know why, really, because if you look at his career stats, he's fine. He's like an average hitter, but this seems like the perfect marriage, and he's killing it so far. So I'm picking up Austin Hayes everywhere. I want to see a little bit more from Marte. I mean, sorry, you can stash him. I'm fine with stashing him. I'm always fine with stashing anybody, but the players in that Reds offense that I actually want him and actively adding myself is Austin Hayes and actually Gavin Lux, who's kind of heating up too.
All right, there you go. What about, well, speaking of the Reds, let's stick with the Reds. What about a pitcher? Andrew Abbott. Coming off a monster game against the Orioles. 6 innings, 11 strikeouts, only 1 earned run. So Frank wants to know, is he only a streamer in a 15-teamer, or are we looking at a guy that's like, just add him.
Not quite there with Abbott. I think still streamer. Abbott is one of those guys that runs very hot and cold. I mean, we've seen him look great. Whenever we first came up with the Reds, and he was dominant. His first, I don't know, it was like 4 or 5 starts. And then all of a sudden he got knocked around, and then he didn't even make the rotation this spring, right? He just now is starting to pitch because he didn't even make the cut. So, yeah, you never know with Abbott. I mean, since he has proven so far to be very volatile and streaky, I guess if he's on a heater, right now he's doing what he needs to do. Sure, stream him, but always be ready, right? Because as soon as that bad starts comes, it'll kind of even everything out.
All right, and then Frank also wants to know, although Mason Wynn is back on Tuesday, should he drop Will Wagner for Edouard Julien?
Yeah, I finally went and did it and Frank, I know you're an NFBC 15-teamer. Same thing in my NFBC, one of my NFBC teams, I dropped Will Wagner. So this is not enough. I need some more upside somewhere. He's not a must hold, right? This guy, even if he does, finally come around and produce, we're not going to miss massive power. He's not stealing bases. So if he's not hot, you can drop him. And actually, I picked up Julien in one league. I think this week is a good one for him because they're facing a lot of right-handers. And of course, they have so many injuries. They just need to keep him in there. But also, don't forget Luke Keyshaw. He's the guy I'm trying to add everywhere possible. I just hope he gets regular at-bats. But yeah, Keyshaw is the name. I always hate, don't you hate, well, I guess it doesn't work this way for football, but you hate, like, you're like, say, hey, this player, you got to pick up this player. And then you're like, wait, it's going to be 5 more days before I do the waiver wire video. Like, who am I going to tell? Like, I got to tell everybody.
Yeah.
Like, because I did the waiver wire video, and then the next day, Keyshaw got called up. I'm like, well, anyways, I'm telling all you all who are watching, pick up Luke Keyshaw.
All right, there you go. All right, it's Easter. Are you ready for a celebrity appearance? No, it's not the Easter Bunny. It's OG Dollar Bill. What is up, Dollar Bill? Good to see you. All right, so we talked about Beto and Priester, but we didn't talk about Brian Bello, who, again, does make 2 starts this week. He gets the Mariners and the Guardians. Not terrible, but, man, this guy tried to do it last year. I couldn't do it. I can't do it this year. So between these 3, if you had to pick one, who are you picking?
Yeah, I didn't mention Bello for a reason. I had some interest early last season. Thought maybe he's someone who could take a step forward. He really didn't. It's not just the injuries. He just hasn't looked very impressive. Not enough to make me want to put him on my roster. So it's between Beto and Priester. I still got Priester a little bit ahead of him, but I'm fine with Beto too. It's not a big difference.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a great Easter. All right. Frank's got another one about Luke Weaver. Okay. I saw this. Actually saw this. He picked up a save. Don't ask me how I saw this because I hardly follow baseball. And I did see AJ Puck is on IL because he's on your team. So that's the only way I saw that. And I actually stashed Grayson Rodriguez, who somebody dropped, and put him on my IL. So Luke Weaver, is he worth a pickup? And if so, are you dropping either of these guys for him?
Okay. Well, let's start with the Grayson thing because I now feel stupid for having drafted him and getting a bargain. The value, what was it? The injury discount on draft day. I mean, we're still waiting. I don't know when we're going to hear this second opinion, but I think if you're having to get a second opinion on an MRI, it's not a good thing. So I'm gonna you might as well wait, right? You were waiting this long, you might as well wait for the second opinion. So don't drop him yet, and let's see what happens. Maybe there's good news. Who knows? I don't want to drop Puck because he's not out. Not out forever. I think was it a hamstring? Is that what it is for him?
Let's see.
No, it's elbow inflammation. All right, well that's different.
Oh boy.
It's a 15-teamer. I know your bench spots are kind of precious there. So I'm okay with it. And the reason I'm okay with this is because Weaver, isn't expected to be the closer. Devin Williams has looked rough lately. I'm not saying Weaver's going to take that job or anything, but look, you never know what could happen here. So I'm okay. I'm okay dropping Puck. I wouldn't drop Grayson just yet.
All right. Hold on to him for now. I missed that about Grayson Rodriguez, but whatever. He's just sitting on my IL. So I don't even need him. I don't even need pitchers like that. Just give me these low-owned outcasts. That's all I need. All right. Ryan does not need Chris Sale. What's up, Ryan? Good to see you again. Does not need Chris Sale, and he can't get rid of Chris Sale. So what should he do?
You don't have to get rid of him. I mean, obviously, if you can, you just hold him. You don't drop him or anything like that. But yeah, Chris Sale, is one that definitely warranted a talk on the panic video. And then I realized yesterday, I'm looking, I was like, oh, he's pitching. Well, let's see, because people all up in arms panicking, and then all of a sudden one good start, and then people are like, okay, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. He only gave up 2 runs. He did strike out 8, but he only went 4 1/3. So this is not what you're wanting from your ace, right? He's probably your first pitcher drafted. But at this point, yeah, you're not going to necessarily want to sell him because you're selling low. So just hold. I will talk about him more in detail on the panic video, which comes out tomorrow. But I mean, really, there's not much you can do. Someone's not going to give you close to your full asking price. Just got to wait it out. But I'll just say this in advance. I'm not overly panicked.
All right. There you go. Just got to hold, I guess, and hope it gets better. All right. Jordy, what's up? Wants to know Max Mayer, who we keep talking about, or Jose Barrios. I guess if you can only keep one or hold one.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, maybe if you're picking up Meyer, you would drop Barrios. Is that the decision here? I'm fine dropping Barrios. He's solid. He'll still, do his crafty veteran things, and he's good in a quality starts league. But give me Meyer. Give me the upside. Barrios is kind of on that slow, gradual trajectory downward. Still usable, right? He's still fine, just not very exciting for fantasy. I'm going to go with Meyer.
All right, go with Meyer there. And then we've talked a lot about Brewers pitchers. Let's talk about another one. Logan Henderson made his debut today. It was pretty good. 6 innings, 9 strikeouts. got the quality start. 1.5 ERA, 6.67 WHIP. Now, was the Athletics? What are your thoughts here?
Logan Henderson is somebody I talked about. I'll beat the breakout a couple of weeks ago. It was right before he debuted. But I don't think did he pitch today? I don't think he did pitch today, unless I'm looking at the wrong thing. Did he pitch today?
Yes,
I'm looking at yesterday.
April 20th.
And they killed it.
Pitched.
Okay. Wow. Logan Henderson just needed a shot, but the reason I wasn't all in is because you always have to see it first. You have to see it first, right? Because it doesn't matter how dominant you are in the minors. It doesn't matter, how desperate the team is. It doesn't matter the matchup. A guy can come up and just wet the bed, right? And just like, that's it, and get sent down. Doesn't matter how good a pitcher is. He looked good. He's got the talent. He's definitely going to have another opportunity, I hope. So I would say I'm not going to run out to add him everywhere necessarily, which I know is, again, trying to keep it real here, trying to keep expectations realistic. But he is promising. He's a promising young pitcher. So if you have the room, then you can go ahead and add him.
Yeah, 1 run over 6 innings against the A's. I think he only gave up 3 hits.
So I missed that because I was doing Eastery things today, so I'm just catching up on the box scores.
29% whatever you call it. Whiff, missed a pitch, whatever you call that stat. You know what I'm talking about. All right, yeah. Fantasy Sports wants to know, are we dropping Wilson Contreras for Agustin Ramirez in a head-to-head redraft, points league, redraft league?
No. Wilson Contreras is coming around, right? A horrible start. There's no way to do worse than he did the first couple of weeks, but he'll be fine. I don't want to give up on a guy like him just after a couple of rough weeks. So no. And Agustin Ramirez is promising, but he's no sure thing. That's for sure. So no, I'm not doing that.
All right, Jordy's got one. Wants to know, drop Jackson Jobe for Chris Bassett. I'm still holding Jobe. I'm still hoping at some point this guy, I guess he does have one 6-inning game, but he's been solid, if not, not spectacular, but solid. But who do you prefer here, Jobe or Bassett?
Well, Jobe just came off a pretty good start. The strikeouts were better. He got like 5 and 5 innings. So he's getting better. With Bassett, this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. He's been so good. He is bound to be bad soon. He's going to be bad soon. His last, I don't know how many years, his ERA has been over 4. His whip is nothing exciting. His strikeout rate is just barely above league average. He's a solid veteran who will look really good at times, and then he'll get knocked around. I don't want to be on the hook when he's in my rotation, and then he has that one outing where he gives up 7 runs. So no, I'd rather keep Jobe.
All right, I'm keeping Jobe too. All right, back-to-back wants to know, which 2 would you drop out of Conforto, Ward, Swanson, Casas, Vientos, who right when Vientos looks like, okay, here we go, he's turning it around, boom, a groin injury, and Wisniewski in a 12-team points league. Which 2 would you drop?
I've really been trying to hold off or have people off from dropping Vientos, So this isn't a season killer for him, right? He's still worth stashing and keeping. It is a points league, but look, you look at, like I say, Vientos and Casas head to head. Casas has been just as bad. You got Wisniewski in there. This is a points league. Wisniewski is probably in that format. He's just a streamer, isn't he? I don't think he's an absolute must hold, in other words, is what I'm saying. If I had to pick 2 to drop right now, I'd probably Wisniewski and Conforto. All
right, there you go. Thank you, back-to-back. And Andrea just dropping in to say hi. Her team is crushing it in the Endgame League. Her team scares me for sure. F. Oh yeah, get well soon. Griffin Conine and Luis Arias. Not sure if you saw the Arias play. That looks scary. Got stretchered off. We'll see how he does. Hopefully he's okay. Got you 2 home runs this week though, which is like what?
I know.
His only 2 home runs of the year came this week. Apparently, both this week is only 2 home runs. Your team mashed 16 home runs or something. Mashed.
Yeah, didn't matter.
All right. Frank wants to know Brandon Marsh 10-day IL, is he worth hanging on to in a 15-teamer with no IL spots?
Nah, Marsh is not a guy I feel like you need to hold. I mean, I know pickings are slim in a league like that, but look, I'll tell you, I'm looking through my TGFBI league where pickings are even more slim. There's still some reasonable values there. Like Tyler Fitzgerald is on the waiver wire in my league. There's probably somebody you can get who is at least more interesting than Brandon Marsh. So nah, I'm not hanging on to him.
All right, then Ui2K, what is up? Wants to know from how many of these, or who would you be willing to drop for Max Meyer between Taj Bradley, Shane Baz, Nick Ladola, Brian Wu, Bowden Francis, and your boy Jose Soriano?
And now I know at least you, because I flipped out last week. This is an 18 league, which is why these players can be dropped. Don't drop Wu. No dropping Wu. Soriano, this is not the week to drop him. I know Baz was bad his last start, but I'm not giving up on him. I think Francis would probably be the one. Francis. Yeah, probably Francis.
All right, drop Francis, pick up Meyer. And then Frank wants to know, what's a smart fab bid for Chandler Simpson needs a replacement for Marsh?
So Chandler Simpson is really interesting. He made it onto my preseason top, I think it was 30. I can't remember now if it was 25 or 30. I think I might have done 30. No, it was 25. Prospects for redraft. Guys that can help you this year. Not dynasty, not long-term, not September, not August. Like right here, right now, at some point early in the season, you can pick them up. Keyshaw was on there. Simpson was on there. Dollander, a lot of guys have already gotten called up. But I'm backing off a little bit from Simpson because here's the thing, and I've seen this comp. This feels like a lazy comparison, but that's fine. Esteury Ruiz is this guy who will come in here and steal 50 bases and hit 182 and not do anything else. It very well could be, and that's the thing. Simpson has 0 power. All right, fine, you know that. But if he steals, league leading 60-something bases, who cares, right? Well, you're going to care if his batting average is 211 or 182, right? So everyone else might be in a hurry. Like I've seen plenty of reputable analysts go out there, must add. You got to get him now. You've got to get him now. I don't feel like I have to get him now, right? Like if he goes on to steal a ton of bases, okay, that's fine. But look at Victor Scott, who has more experience than Simpson. And is probably just as good, if not better, a hitter. And he's struggling and he's been dropped. So I think there's just a lot of risk here with Simpson. I don't want to go crazy trying to get just one category, just chasing steals. So, Frank, my advice to you, that the smart bid might not be the same as the winning bid, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
My smart bid in an NFBC league is going to be less than 20. If you really are hard up for an outfielder or you just need speed, you could go into the 20s, but I would prefer to keep it in the mid-teens.
All right, go cheap, see if you get them. If not, oh well. All right, so Paul B, what's up? Remember, drop that super chat. Does have a question. Joey Ortiz, Jackson Holiday, and Jonathan India. Which of these guys do you stick with big picture? You just talked about Chandler Simpson, so good timing there. But which of these guys do you like long term, if any?
Paul, those are 3 very similar guys in the sense that I thought they were all great fallback options at second base. And they haven't been great. India has kind of done what he's done. He'll kind of put up stats like a little bit here, a little bit there, and then he'll just disappear for like a week or 2. I don't know where he goes, but he's still in the lineup, but he's just like not physically there, right? Like 0 for 4 again. Okay. Holiday, I mean, he's not hitting at all against lefties, and he's like home run or nothing. Ortiz has yet to come around. I still have faith in. I like those 3 players, but they're all very frustrating. So if I have to pick one, I mean, I'd like to say Holiday. I feel like it should be Holiday, but at what point do we just say like it needs more time? I guess for now, I'll still say Holiday, but man, pretty soon might have to move off of him, and then I would just go India.
All right, there you go. Thank you, Paul. The NFL 360, NFL draft this week.
Finally.
Can't wait. All right, I remember we talked about Luke Jackson way back in like week 1, but here he is, still picking up saves. 6 saves on the season, 3.38 ERA. All right, is he a hold at this point, or is he still a sell high?
You know what? NFL 360 make the perfect point here. He is still Luke Jackson. I'm going to sell him high. He's a very good trade high because it's coming. It's coming. You know who's coming. The regression monster comes for us all at some point. I don't feel like he was never the plan to be the closer. He's the default, right? Because that's who they got. So I'm selling him high if I can.
All right, there you go. Sell high if you can. All right, Ian, what is up? He's got a question about his pitchers. Not too happy with him. Framber Valdez, Tanner Bibby, Bryce Miller. He's got Luzardo and Baz. Should he be worried? And also, any good buy lows for pitching?
Framber's been underwhelming, but he'll be fine. Bibby, I don't know how fine he'll be. I don't know how much better he'll be. He'll be okay, but he'll probably continue to underwhelm. Bryce Miller, I do have a lot of confidence turning around, so I think he'll be fine. Luzardo, great. Baz will be fine. So overall, the only one I'm really worried about here is Bibby. I think you will be okay, though. But obviously, you're still looking for some other pitchers. And what was he said? Looking for buy low for starting pitchers?
Buy low pitchers. Any buy low pitchers?
So I didn't exactly do a buy low last week. It was kind of buy and sell, kind of a mix. So assuming that you have a typical league where people value pitchers like rationally, you're not going to be able to buy low necessarily on some of these aces. I mean, Chris Sale is the one that jumped to mind. If somebody earlier was like, I want to get rid of Chris Sale. Well, maybe you get Chris Sale on the cheap. He's not necessarily the guy I want to buy, but again, cheap is cheap, right? If you can get him for a good discount, then sure, that's fine. The other one that I think maybe I would actually pursue that I would want to buy, there's not a lot. Not a lot worth actually chasing here. I would say that you're buying low. I mean, you have Bryce Miller, I feel like might be a buy low, and that's one of the guys I would want. Clay Holmes is a cheap buy low. I still like Clay Holmes overall. And I would say you wouldn't take a risk on. I know we haven't heard anything, but I got to think George Kirby is going to start coming back sometime soon. So if you can be patient, you can try to get him on the real cheap, but only if you can do that.
All right, there you go, Ian. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it. All right, Uwe2K has another one. Looks like he'll need a bat to replace Arias. I'm kind of disappointed that you have little slappy Arias on your team. Although, again, he did hit 2 home runs this week somehow, which the guy hit like 2 all of last year. But, hey, it happens, I guess. Better options are Mangum, who would be much better if his name was actually Magnum, Buxton, McKinstry, Sheets, Marte, Josh Smith, or just add Kurtz now.
I'm just gonna say Mangum until he cools off. I mean, he's still producing. Why not go Mangum or even Meisner in Tampa Bay? So I'll just take those guys. Buxton, again, his batting average is killing you. So out of that group, I would go Mangum.
All right. Thank you as always, Uwe2K. All right. It's Ame145. Welcome. Interesting question here. Is it Time to buy low on Emmanuel. Is it Class A or just Class, whatever it is? Well, whatever it is, it hasn't been great this year. He does have 4 saves, but he's also sporting a nice, tidy 7.84 ERA and only 9 strikeouts. Well, I guess 9 strikeouts in 10 innings isn't bad, but 20 hits in 10 innings is not great either. So, is he a buy low, and would you give up Estevez and Vinny P for him?
The best time to buy low on Klaus was a week ago, and when I had him on the buy low video, and that was why he was looking bad. Honestly, I saw some people just saying like he's done, like he's toast. Well, we had some people on here who said that. I remember we had some comments were like, "Yeah, no, he's toast."
He's toast.
Remember that?
That's me. I'm saying he's toast. These closers, man, it seems like that's it. They're just done. When they're done, they're done. They're like running backs. When they're done, they're done. That's it.
Well, it's more gradual than that in baseball. It's not quite that simple. I think you could still buy low. You maybe not as low as a week ago, but you still could. We give Esmez and Vinny P. I think that's reasonable.
All right, there you go. Go buy low if that's your jam, I guess. All right. All right, I'm going to pull this one up, but I'm going to say this, Ryan. So Ryan wants to know in a standard 10-man league, needs a good second baseman to replace an injured player. Thoughts on Dylan Moore? Yes. I heard you talk about Dylan Moore quite a bit on the waiver wire video that I watched over the weekend. So, Ryan, I know you're always on here asking questions. I'm just going to say, go check out the waiver wire video because he talks about Dylan Moore on there.
Good.
All right, let's move along because we've got a lot of questions. Okay. I feel like I could answer this one. Tyler Mahle, who's absolutely dealing right now. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, yes, he's worth adding. Do you agree?
Also, he was, and maybe you missed it, even if you did watch this week's waiver wire video, because I'd spent maybe 20 seconds talking about Mahle because it was followed by Max Meyer, which was preceded by me ranting about why they haven't been picked up everywhere yet when I told you to pick them up the week before. So if you didn't pick Tyler Mahle up the first time around, well, I guess it's not too late. You can. But also, this is a perfect case where he is not as good as his stats. He is not this good, okay? He will have a bad start here sometime soon. But that also doesn't mean that you pick him up and you're like, he has a bad start. This guy's a bum. It's going to be somewhere in between. It evens out, right? But he is a solid, pretty dependable veteran arm, good situation. So still worth adding. Would have been better to add him a week ago, but oh well, you can still add him now.
Go get him. All right, Ian, remember he's asking about the pitcher, said DeGrom got dropped in his league. Who should he drop, Bibby, Bubic, or Boz?
Any of them. I would drop Bubic. He's the one I feel the least confident about.
All right, now Ryan has a question. Another question. He's got Aaron Nola and Roki Sasaki. Would you drop them for Drew Rasmussen and Mackenzie Gore?
This is tricky, Ryan. I mean, no, don't drop Aaron Nola unless we find out that there is injury. You've got to assume he'll bounce back. He's done this before. He's had bad Aprils. So don't drop him unless we hear something concerning. Sasaki is actually starting to get better, so this is the wrong time to drop. If you want to trade Sasaki, I'm okay with that. You should still be able to get a decent return for him, but don't drop either of those two guys. I would like to have Rasmussen and Gore. I like them both a lot, but I'm not dropping those first two.
All right, thank you. And then Uwe2K's got another one. Sal Perez, I will always remember you fondly. You carried my team for most of the year last year when my hitters were absolutely awful, but this year he's been absolutely awful, batting that cool 182, 2 home runs, 22 strikeouts to 16 hits and only 6 walks. Is it time to drop him in a 10-teamer?
But maybe you remember this. Do you remember how he started last season?
I don't, because my whole team was so bad last year. Like this point, exactly. My team was so bad last year.
But that's exactly the point. He was on it. He was bad last year. I don't remember exactly, but I know he got off to a super slow start. And then by the middle of the season, you're like, this is vintage Sal. This is like, one of his better overall seasons. The reason why you shouldn't drop him is because this guy is a perennial, or maybe not stud, but he is consistently productive, and there's no reason to drop him other than short-sightedness. We're like, oh, he's not doing well right here, right now. He'll be fine.
All right, he'll be fine. Don't panic. All right, David Leon picked up Landon Roop as a streamer this week. He was awesome. He's got 29 Ks in 22 innings. Is this a guy you're just keeping?
For me, the jury is still out. I need to see it a little bit more. So there's potential, but again, I don't know if he's going to escape the just a streamer category yet.
All right, and then we got a super chat from David. Thank you so much. Looking for a Monday outfielder streamer. So in a points league, you're looking at Frelick, Hayes. I'm guessing maybe, well, it's points league. Steer or Luis. Is that Luis Robert Jr.? Are we still doing this? We still doing this?
Yeah.
Is he still a thing?
Probably not. For tomorrow, we're gonna look at the matchups. I mean, look, I already went off about Austin Hayes. I'm going to go Austin Hayes, even though I know they're not facing Baltimore anymore. Hayes is hot. I like Hayes. Frelick, not as great of a matchup going against the Giants. So I'll go Hayes.
All right, go Hayes. And then Tristram. What's up, Tristram? Saying happy Easter. Happy Easter to you as well. All right, Dan wants to know, are we dropping? Is this where we're at? Are we dropping? I assume that's Tristan Casas to activate Wyatt Langford. Other considerations, I guess, to drop would be Luis Garcia Jr., Alec Baum, who we haven't gotten a question about in a couple weeks, Kyle Manzardo, who's on fire, another guy who mashed for you this week. My goodness, every day this guy's hitting a freaking home run. Nico Horner.
All right. Casas will be on the panic video this week. I'm trying not to, but gotta be a realist. If you had somebody I would say was an easier option to drop, maybe, but just do it. I think you can drop Casas.
All right. Drop them. Sad times. Sad times. And then he also wants to know, does he need 3 closers? Helsley. Is Alexei Diaz even closing yet? Jansen, he's got 24 active roster spots. Does he need to help hold all 3 of these? And if not, who should he drop?
Well, Diaz is technically not the closer again yet, but I think he will be. It's just a matter of time. So I still like Diaz. You got to keep Helsley. Do you need 3 closers? No. But I wouldn't drop one just for the sake of dropping one, if you know what I mean. I mean, really, there's a lot of variables that go into it. Depends on your overall. I mean, obviously, I know you got 3 closers. Where you're at in terms of the standings with saves versus other categories. I would say I would keep those guys for right now. I'm not going to drop somebody just because I'm like, I already have a closer. I can drop this other. Tomorrow morning, Ryan Helsley has an accident and he's his IL. You don't have 3 closers anymore. So, you know what I mean?
Yep. All right, then Tristan wants to know, did you see his boy Cruz yesterday? Yeah, I definitely saw it.
My boy, too. I got him in a couple leagues.
Yep. Although, thankfully, I thought for sure today he get a doubleheader in Colorado. I was like, oh, great. This guy's going to hit three home runs today. But, I mean, there's still time. I guess the game's going. All right, but he wants to know, he accepted a trade in his keeper league, gating Max Meyer for Robert Suarez because he's got a lot of closers. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. Keeper league, totally fine. I feel like it's fair on both sides, too, because Meyer's not an absolute sure thing. There's risk there, and the other side got a good closer. So I think that's a good trade.
All right, well done. And then Anthony here saying, what's up? Dealt with a storm, had no internet, but he did pick up Logan Henderson. Had a nice game. Wanted to know if we covered it. Not sure if you heard it. We did cover Logan Henderson. Did have a nice outing. You want to give him the Cliff Notes real quick? In case you just hop in.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to see it. I was starting to get really annoyed because they brought him up and they still hadn't announced plans for him to start. That's why I didn't even know he was starting today. I didn't get to see it, but it looked good. This is why they brought him up. So, again, I try to be try to be cautious here because sometimes even and the Brewers may not be in the situation because they can't even keep a rotation healthy. But sometimes a guy will be really good, like 1 start, 2 starts, like, oh man, this guy's great. And then they send him down. Like what? Because they like somebody else came off the IL. Brandon Woodruff is coming back soon at some point. And so again, I always try to temper expectations with rookie pitchers. But man, he looked good. Although it was the A's.
It was the A's, but it was still a nice outing. All right. Yeah. Manuel Ferreira, sorry about that. This is near and dear to my heart because I have Heliot Ramos. I drafted him. He was off to a great start. He's somewhat cooled off. He's still been okay, but if you had to drop one, Blade or Ramos, who are you dropping?
I'm going to drop Blade. I like Ramos. He tends to be a little streaky too, but man, when he's hot, he's hot. I still think he just gives you more upside overall. Blade is kind of like that boring third, fourth outfielder you put in there in a points league and just kind of be happy he's getting you something. But I'd rather keep Ramos.
All right, and then Uwe 2K back again. All right, rank these holds candidates: Weaver, Basia, Rogers, and Uribe.
Gonna put Weaver first. Man, I really liked Uribe last year, and then he was wild, and then he fought somebody, and then he got hurt, and it all went to hell. But he's better now. He seems to have calmed down both physically and emotionally. So I'm gonna put him second, and then I'll put probably Vesia next, and then Rogers.
All right, there you go. Thank you. All right, Tribal 979. He's in the shallow league with Keibert Ruiz as his catcher. He's been fine so far, but would you consider Francisco Alvarez or Carson Kelly as better options? They're both on the waiver wire.
Yeah, I had a lot of Carson Kelly questions because, of course, the cycle game, and then he's been hot, but not a long-term believer in Kelly at this point in his career. Alvarez gives you more upside in the power department for sure. Ruiz will still be better in terms of batting average. So it's almost like a trade-off. It kind of just depends. What do you prefer, right? What are you looking for? If you're needing power, sure, go Alvarez. But if not, I think you're okay just rolling with Ruiz.
All right, thank you for that. And we've talked about him a couple times. I hope Chris Sale's on the panic video because it sounds like a lot of people are panicking about him. It's Gorilla. What's up? Is he nice. Is Chris Sale just a drop at this point?
No, don't drop him. You can be frustrated, but no, that's not a player that you want to drop. You usually regret dropping someone like that. Look, if he winds up having an injury, which wouldn't be shocking for Chris Sale, okay, you stash him on the IL and you move on. But you don't just straight up drop him.
All right, don't do it. All right, Taylor Green, what's up? I don't know who is Soda. I assume Torque is Torkelson. Who's Soda?
Soderstrom? Maybe Soderstrom from
Soda Popinski from Tyson's Punch-Out? Oh, Soderstrom. Has Soderstrom crashed back down to earth?
No, he's not yet, at least not that I know of. I mean, he's still on fire. His average has crashed down a little bit, but still.
Well, he has gone 3 hitless. He's gone 3 straight hitless games, so maybe he's crashing a little bit.
Maybe. But the same could happen to Torkelson. Sure. Man, when you're asking this, are these guys both just on waivers still? This kind of league, these guys aren't picked up. I know they're power bats, but still, I'm pretty sure home runs count in points leagues. So I would say I would try to add them both. If you have to pick one, I actually still have more confidence in Soderstrom.
All right. Thank you, Taylor. Appreciate it. Good to see you. I think you might be new to the channel. Welcome if you are. All right, David with another super chat. He wants to know a starting pitcher streamer in a points league. Nick Lodolo, Walker Buehler, Robbie Ray, Max Mayer, or just pass?
Well, David from the very, very top, and anyone who maybe just joined in, you can always go rewatch. We always start with the best 2-start streamers of the week. Number 1, Max Meyer. Max Meyer should be rostered. So Max Meyer is the choice here. I'm not giving up on Robbie Ray, too. I know he wasn't great this past week, but not a great matchup for him. I think he'll be okay. Yeah, he's not going to be Cy Young Robbie Ray, but he'll still be good in spots. So if he's available, and I didn't mention him because I don't think he gets 2 starts this week, but you're just looking for a streamer, like I'm gonna go basically backwards order here. Meyer, Ray, Bueller, Lodolo.
All right, there you go. Thank you again, David. All right, Michael, welcome back. Wants to know, is Mackenzie Gore for real? It's been pretty good so far. Yesterday against in Colorado, 13 strikeouts. His second 13 strikeout game of the year. Got 45 Ks in 29 innings. He's gone at least 6 innings in all but 1 start. Is this it?
That sure sounds like it's for real. You can't strike out that many batters on accident. He's for real. You always get that little voice. You're like, this is not an ace pitcher. You're like, you play in Coors Field. You're like, maybe this is a really stupid idea to pitch him. But I was like, oh, you know what? No risk it, no biscuit. I put him in my lineup, and I'm glad I did. So, because as it turns out, as good as Coors Field is for hitters, it only helps if your hitters are actually capable of hitting, and the Colorado Rockies are not. So, is Gore for real? Yes. Am I worried about Devin Williams? A little bit. Klaus, I already talked about last week. Klaus is a buy low, stop worrying. No. Devin Williams, a little bit.
All right, there we go. And then Frank wants to know, Mickey Moniak and or Kyle Farmer worth considering?
Farmer, no. I know Amador hasn't hit much and he might get sent down, but I don't think Farmer is worth considering anyways. Look, if you're in a 15-teamer, Moniak, yeah, because I know in those formats you need 5 outfielders. So yeah, he's worth considering in that format. In a 12-teamer, only if it's an NL-only league, like Tristram's, which, yes, Tris, I have Mickey Moniak in our league, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
All right, then Ryan with another one. All right, because we've had a couple questions, not really questions, but just people asking if they should be worried about Luis Castillo. Should you hold him or be worried about him, or would you drop him for one of Rasmussen or Gore, who we just talked about? And thoughts on Ryan?
This Ryan, out of yours is a pretty shallow league as well. You got these guys out there on waivers still. You shouldn't have to drop Castillo. I bet even though he hasn't been great, I bet somebody's willing to trade for him. And even if you felt like you're selling a little bit low, I'm okay with that. Remember, I had Castillo as one of my bust picks preseason. I'm holding to that. So I wouldn't drop him. I'd see if you can trade him. Maybe, you know what? And you're asking to pick up both those guys. Try 2 for 1. Maybe somebody, it's probably hard to trade Aaron Nola these days, but maybe you can pair Castillo and Sasaki for somebody, a frontline ace, maybe a Strider or something like that. I don't know. I would try that. Brian Wu, keep.
All right. And then UE2K, I know we said don't drop Sal Perez, but what if you could pick up Sam Frelick or Ben Rice? Frelick or Ben Rice?
No.
All right. Now, I think I know the answer to this one. Is a guy who has never hit higher than 270, has never hit higher than 270 in his entire career, has a total of 159 RBIs and 162 runs scored since 2020, who's now hitting 382 with 3 home runs. Is he the real deal?
Sort of. Mostly. Okay. So Pavin Smith, I look, he is right now the biggest overachiever, like the biggest expected batting average versus actual batting average. Obviously, he's not hitting anywhere close to the 400, 380, whatever. That's fine. I never expected him to even hit 300, but I bet he can hit in the 280s, 270s even. He's going to get you some home runs, right? I think by season's ends, at least 20-something. I think he has upside to maybe reach 30. He's in a strong side platoon. And I said it. He was my old guy. He's like 29. My old guy breakout pick for this year, my late age breakout. So I think he is for real. Not this for real, like what he's doing now. But, yeah, I'm keeping him. I mean, I liked him all draft season.
All right, maybe this is it. All right, are you ready for multiple Kyle Manzardo questions? Did not think we were
Oh.
going to have multiple Manzardo questions. First of all, from
Do it.
would you drop Manzardo or Michael Garcia? And then Ilras123, what's up? Wants to know he's stashing Nick Kurtz right now, but would you drop him for Manzardo? Happy Easter. And then Anthony saying Manzardo was surprisingly dropped in my home league because when a guy hits home runs in 2 straight days, get this bum off my team.
Get him out.
Would you drop him? Would you drop Cam Smith for him? So let's start right here. Manzardo or Michael Garcia?
And those questions got progressively tougher for different reasons. Okay, so H, I don't know if you're related to E from last week.
Or X?
Are you asking if I'm dropping Manzardo for Michael Garcia? No. Am I dropping either one of them? I'm not dropping Manzardo because I just had him as a waiver wire ad. So no, I'm not dropping Manzardo. Garcia, he's like fine if you need him, right? He's like, I need a guy because Luis Suarez is hurt. He's going to be on. Okay. Pick him up and he's fine. He can help you a little bit.
All right. Then Ilras was saying he's got Nick Kurtz, but would you drop him to pick up Manzardo?
Okay. Now that's tough because we're making fun of it. Nobody's making fun of it. We're just trying to pronounce it phonetically. H. I'm stashing Nick Kurtz right now. I mean, it's smart to stash him. You don't want to stash a guy and then you drop him. Like, oh, well, let me drop him, and then he gets called up. Then you're gonna feel, pretty stupid. But if you're not gonna start Manzardo anyways, then I would just keep Kurtz. I mean, I like Manzardo, but I would keep Kurtz if you got him.
All right, and then the last one: would you drop Cam Smith to go get Manzardo?
Only because it's a keeper league, I'm going to say no. I will still hold out on Cam Smith a little longer.
All right. Okay. So there you go, guys. Thank you for all the Manzardo questions. Did not think we were going to have that many. All right. Back to It's Gorilla. Would you drop Clay Holmes or Drew Rasmussen for Max Meyer?
Ouch. 3 pitchers I like. I mean, I feel like you need to get Meyer. I'm trying to think of who. Man, the tough ones. Because I like all 3. Again, Clay Holmes was one of my favorite preseason draft values. So was Rasmussen. And Max Meyer's a legit breakout candidate. I guess if I had to pick one, I'm going to drop Rasmussen. I'm not going to like it, but I would still do it.
All right. And then real quick, about caught up here, but Ilros wanted to add on. If you remember, he just asked about dropping Nick Kurtz for Manzardo. His only first baseman is Cody Bellinger, who's been absolutely terrible, although thank goodness he homered today, although it didn't really help me because you destroyed me in home runs because I think you set the league record for home runs in a week this week. So if Bellinger, who I know you do like, I think you still like, I don't know if you still like.
Yeah.
Who's been awful. If he's his only first baseman, does that change your opinion about dropping Kurtz for Manzardo?
No, not if he's actually playing. My only concern with Bellinger is the back, right? Tightened up on him. He missed a couple of games. He's playing again. I mean, if he's good to go, and obviously today he seemed good with the home run, I'm keeping him in there. I think that's fine. But also, I mean, you see Manzardo, he's a guy I want on my rosters if I can, but he's also probably not going to be added everywhere. If you drop him, or if he's out there and you don't pick him up, it doesn't mean someone else is going to pick him up. He might still be there in a few days, if you do need him. So I don't think you have to do that. You're okay with Bellinger and, keep stashing Kurtz since you got him.
I think what they've been doing with Bellinger is when they have like night game, day game. So they have a night game and then the next day they sit him.
Yeah.
So which is a little annoying, but then at the same time, it's like, well, cool. I don't have to have the 0 for 4 in my lineup. So that's good.
There you go. Look, Anthony wants him. You can trade him.
He's still here. Here's my problem, Anthony. My other first basemen are terrible. Jake Berger is horrible. Horrible. Hit the base. You are paid millions of dollars to hit the baseball. Hit the thing. Hit the baseball. Please, Jake Berger. Please start hitting the baseball. So if I trade Bellinger, I have to start Jake Berger every day. I don't even know if that's better for me. I don't even know. Unless you have a first baseman you can send me.
It's not better right now, but these things change.
They do change. All right, and then last question for the night will be Ryan right here. He's either going to add Brian Wu or Mackenzie Gore. Just sitting out there. These guys just sitting out there on the waiver wire.
To be in a shallow league. I like them both, but I'm going to go Wu over Gore.
All right, Wu over Gore, as tough as that is, because, man, yeah, he's been on fire. But got to go Wu. Okay, you know what? I lied. We got to do one more because we have one from the Dominican Republic. What's up? All right. We talked about him a little bit earlier, but we didn't really talk about him. I think somebody asked a question about another player, Agustin Ramirez. Is it worth dropping Dingler or Moreno for him? It's an OPS slugging and on-base percentage league.
Well, you're asking this. You got Dingler, Moreno. I don't know if those guys are your starters. You have both, I guess. You're saying it's a deep league. Sure, I'll pick up Ramirez for one of those. I streamed Dingler for a few days, and then I just dropped him. Moreno he's fine. You want some more upside. I'll take Ramirez. The only thing is you already know. It doesn't matter how ready he is. It's the Marlins. They could make him sweat it out in the minors for a long time or bring him up and then send him back down, right? So, yeah, he's coming up, but it doesn't mean that he is necessarily going to stick the rest of the season. That's what we got to be careful with because it's the Marlins. So, pick him up, but just be prepared.
All right. Appreciate it. And appreciate everybody being on today on this Easter Sunday. Appreciate you all watching the video, supporting the channel. Thanks for those of you that super chatted. Thanks for everybody for being on here. Don't forget, we got another week of fantasy baseball coming ahead. Panic video, Beat the Breakout. We've already had how many guys on Beat the Breakout so far already in the lineup and playing? We got Buy Low, of course, or whatever we're gonna do this week. We got Waiver Wire coming out. So we got everything, and I gotta take Benny. Sorry, I know. Every time we think every time we're out, they pull me back in. We got to take a question from Benny. What's up, Benny? 4-0 points league. He'll be topping points next week, and that was without Gunnar and Jackson Miller for 2. Oh, he just wants to humble brag. All right, yeah, I need Jackson Merrill back too, man. I need Jack. Nice. When is Jackson Merrill coming back? Get this guy back in my lineup. All right, well, congrats, Benny. Well done, but remember, it's a long season. It's a long season. Don't get complacent over there, Benny. All right, everybody, appreciate you. Happy Easter. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we will be back here. I may not be on this Wednesday, Pierre. I don't know if you'll be able to do this Wednesday, but we'll try to do this Wednesday. But also, for you football fans on here, don't forget, Thursday night, NFL Draft. We will be live streaming round 1 on the football channel. So make sure you're in there for that. All right, everybody, have a great week ahead, and we'll see you guys back here midweek.